Okay, folks, I thought we'd do a more in-depth, detailed field strip of this Iver Johnson HP18. I kind of went over the the field stripping of it there yesterday a little bit, but I want to get it ready for its first shots. I hope I don't mess it up like I did the TX22, but I am going to take this apart and clean the internals. It was shipped from Turkey, so want to make sure everything's good in it. Does appear to be fairly dry inside, so uh, that's one thing about it. It's not oily inside. There was a little bit of oil on the magazine tube and the carrier assembly yesterday when I took it apart, but I wiped that off. So we're going to disassemble it, and we'll take a little bit closer look at it. I know Boomstick commented last night that it looked similar to the Citadel Warthog that he's got, and he's actually having some trouble with it locking up right now. Boomstick, if you watch this one seems to be, where you can see in there to yours fairly easy. This one seems to have fairly tight tolerances in there. I don't know. I'm trying to get it to where, yeah, you can see the bolt up in there that's shiny. But the tolerances look pretty tight on this one. And Boomstick also told me how to best remove this bolt handle, so we're going to give that a shot too. So first thing I've learned is making it easier to clean is removing this stock, and that makes it shorter to work with. So, and I have learned a little trick on this in playing with it a little bit yesterday evening. But the best way to remove this is if you take this finger, now that's a small hole, and if you got a fat finger, it makes it a little more challenging. But I can just depress that enough with that finger, and if you'll grab around the grip like this and kind of use your kind of lever this way, it will come out. So you can remove it by hand. I just hadn't figured out the technique to do that yet. So with that being done, first thing we will do is remove our magazine end cap here, and this is a aluminum end cap, and it would appear the magazine tube is also aluminum. And we'll pull off our hand guard. And the one thing I wanted to show you about this hand guard is this right here on the hand guard. These are plastic teeth. So these are plastic teeth. This has aluminum teeth. So I suspect that these teeth on this will eventually wear out. And I think they probably know that, because this piece in here is actually loose. You can actually pull this piece out, and it does have a notch on it right there, so it would look like that this piece is meant to be changed out. So you depress that little tit on it right there, and this would probably pull out. So that would appear that that's a design feature they put on it, because they know that this piece will at some point wear out. Of course, another thing I was thinking about yesterday is that your barrel's actually held on by this nut right here. So your hand guard doesn't have to be cinched down super tight. All this end cap is doing is just keeping enough pressure on your hand guard to keep it in there. So you don't have to wail on this, which might help save those threads a little bit, not over tightening it and just grinding them down. So just a little thought there. So as I showed yesterday, you have your aluminum, this is aluminum ring, and it is threaded, and You got threads here at the lower section, and then it raises up here and threads on off. So you thread that off. This is also knurled on the back side. So when you reinstall this, you want this to go down because there is some knurling on this end of the barrel. So with that off, you can proceed to pull your barrel out. So the barrel just slides out. We'll set that aside. Now, Boomstick told me a little trick to doing this, and we're going to line this up. So there's a little half moon, and this may be hard to show on camera, but there's a little half moon section right there, and that would appear to be right about where it's at. So I'm going to take a piece of leather here and lay down there, and I'm going to take this screwdriver, and there is a notch on the bottom of this right there. Let me make sure it's lined up. This is not easy to do through the camera lens. So make sure we're lined up there. And like I said, there's a notch right here in this. The trick is to get this in the notch without moving it out of the position it needs to be in. So there, it popped out. So put you something on here, pop that out, and there is your charging handle. With the charging handle off, this will all just slide. Now this is under spring tension, so that will all just slide off. So remove your bolt carrier and your spring, and what you're left with is your receiver. I'll try to get you a shot down in there. That's kind of what your receiver looks like. And like I said, it looks fairly dry down in there. There's not a lot of oil. There's some scratching down in there, I see. But that's a good close look at the gun. And this scratch right here, right there, I did put in it trying to pop the bolt handle out first time. I did want to see if that method would work, and I did scratch it. So, but it's a home defense gun, so, and I have already scuffed it up a little bit there, putting it in now the gun safe. So there's a look at what you got. There's a better look at the pick rail on top, and here's a better look at the sights that actually come on the gun. See if I can get you a better sight there. It has a three dot type sight, 2 dots, and they appear just to be painted on sights there. It's not wanting to focus right there. There we go. You have your adjustment for elevation and for windage. And this is your carrier release right there. But anyway, so what we're going to do is let's inspect this bolt carrier. Now, Boom, if you watch this, I already took this out once, so I wanted to see how it differed. But where yours was rounded, this one has nice sharp edges. As you can see, it's well defined, has sharp edges. It's no it's not rounded off. Trying to keep it pushed up there where we can see it. But looks to be machined fairly well. And there's the front of the bolt face. The machining inside looks to be fairly good. It's not outstanding, but it looks okay. So that is your bolt, firing pin. And I noticed if you take the barrel and lay your bolt in the barrel where it would go, you can actually turn it upside down and the locking lug will drop down, and when you pull back you can see there that the fit is very tight. The tolerance is on right there is about how it is when it's on the gun. So the tolerances on that one are pretty tight. Fits pretty good. There's a pretty good it's locked right now. I'm pulling backward on it and it's locked in there tight. Of course it would have spring pressure on it. Would probably have more pressure on it in the gun. So anyway, pretty good fit, pretty good finish there on the barrel to bolt. Now the one thing I don't like about the barrel, of course, here's your gas piston, and this is appears to be maybe chrome plated or stainless steel. These has metal rings, so it has 2 metal rings. Looks to be fairly well made. I don't know if it's stainless or just plated, but looks like a fairly good quality gas piston. I tried to show you yesterday in the barrel. If I can get it where the light will get down it. I don't know if you can see right there on the bottom. There's two holes there. You can see them. There's 2 holes, and that's where your gas bleeds off and pushes your gas piston back. So the front sight is put on with a screw, and it has, and don't look like they done a real good job putting that screw in. But the front side is put on like that. Looks like it could stand a little washer under, because the front side is actually loose. Now as long as the screw doesn't come out, it can't go anywhere, because I removed that yesterday, and underneath there is a cylindrical type piece of metal that's actually made onto the barrel that this whole thing sits down on, and so this whole thing is sitting on a block, so it can't go anywhere. It can't come off, it can't turn, as long as the screw's in there. It being loose is not going to affect its shooting, as long as the screw doesn't fall out. And I think I'm going to try and find some real small washer and put under this. I suspect that this screw is just a little bit long and it's bottoming out before it tightens the sight completely down. So a washer would cure that. And then again, I showed you yesterday that this muzzle brake, flash suppressor, whatever you want to call it, I don't know that it does anything, but it is just threaded onto the barrel. There is no internal chokes. The barrel seems to be fairly well crowned. It's got a nice smooth edge to it, no sharpness. So that just screws on like that. So we've looked at the bolt. Here's your bolt carrier. Now this is the piece that to me looks crude. It looks rough. This looks like a poorly made piece. But you can see there, it's got a chip out of it there. This just looks to be like a cheap piece. crude. I know it's just part of the gas system, and you know, this is not a high quality part right here. This looks to be the worst part on the whole gun. And of course, your carrier looks to be, you know, nickel plated, good heavy metal. There are some machine marks on it. You can see where it's been machined. It's not a highly finished part, but it's just a bolt carrier. So that's a look at your bolt carrier. So, and the bolt carrier just simply has two little ledges on it. They correspond with this piece right here, and then you just rotate it up and in. So works like that right there. That's how that sits. And like I said, this is just to guide it along the tube, so I don't know how much force and stress this thing takes, but you know, of all the parts on the gun, it appears to be the crudest part. And the barrel does appear to be chrome lined. I don't know if we can see down it or not. I got my camera mounted. Let's see if I can raise it up here enough that we can get a look at it. I turned a little bit maybe. There's your bore. And it's I do believe it's chrome lined. It appears to be chrome lined, and it's 3-inch chamber. And this gun was manufactured by 12 gauge chambered 2 3/4 and 3-inch cells. I don't know if you can read that or not. It's kind of hard to read. It's kind of weakly stamped in there. And the gun was manufactured by there's the name of the importer. If that's focusing. So anyway, that's just kind of a look at the components of it. Now let's do a little cleaning on it. And what I'm going to do is I don't think I'll keep the camera running just to run a swab down the barrel. Everybody knows how to swab out a shotgun barrel, so I ain't gonna bore you with that. I think I'll pause you here a minute and I'll swab out the barrel. Then we'll maybe lube some parts and put this thing back together and get it ready for its first shooting. Get right back with you. Okay, I've got the bore mopped out and brushed out. I take a little bit of hoppies and I'm just going to go around and clean the inside of this these gas ports. Make sure it's clean in here. Just take and work some hoppies around in there and get any powder residue or anything. It appeared to me that this had been probably test fired at the factory because it was a little bit dirty. I'm gonna take a patch here. I'm just gonna wipe this out. You can see it's a little bit dirty in there. Not too bad, but a little bit of black on that. So I'm gonna clean that out. And now I don't think that I don't know how you guys are, but I don't think oil and your gas system go hand in hand, so it just causes powder residue and stuff to build up. So this is an area of your gun where you probably don't want to use no oil. Some people might, I don't know. Let me know if you use oil on yours, but I'm not. I'm gonna insert that right there. But I am going to take another cleaning patch here, and just to make sure that I don't overdo it on this one. Let's see. I'm going to take my rim on, and I'm just going to put a couple drops on it, just a little bit, especially a little bit right here. And then I'm just going to take my cleaning swatch here and just rub this in, because this does have, seems kind of like maybe a parkerized finish, so it seems like it might like soak up some oil, kind of like parkerization. It's kind of got that rough feel like parkerization. I'm guessing that's probably what it is. It just has that you know, parkerized feel to it. It's kind of got a little texture, and you know, you want to, I'm not afraid, but parkerized finish, you want to put a little oil on them, just and that's what I'm going to do. I'm just putting what oil is you see me put there, and I can rub around with this patch. So not overdoing it on the oil like I did on the Taurus, the TX. So we're just putting a little oil on it, wiping it down there. So, and got a little more up in here. So, and now I'll wipe it down again before I put it away or we shoot it, but I'll give it a final wipe down with a rag. So there's our barrel done. And so I'll set that aside. I'm also going to clean this out a little bit. Just give it a little cleaning. Make sure there's nothing in it there. And I'll use my old cleaning rag over here that I use for everything to kind of clean that out. Now the magazine tube above the gas system, I may put a little bit of oil on that just to give it a little lubrication. And if this is parkerization, I don't know. This feels like it might be aluminum, so that's just probably a really poorly anodized part. But anyway, I've cleaned that out. Got that pretty good looking. So we'll reinstall that on our carrier. The carrier itself, I might put a couple drops of oil, just maybe on these bearing surfaces right where the bolt sits. I ain't putting a lot. Like I said, I don't want to overdo it like I did on the bolt itself. I'll give it a little bit of a cleaning. Just take a little hoppies and go over it here and make sure my breech face is clean. Like I said, it does appear that this gun was probably test fired. I hope that means it shoots, it functions well. So we're going to wipe off this excess hoppies. And that, like I said, I do believe that these black metal parts are parkerized because they have that feel of parkerization. So on the bolt itself, I don't want to get crazy with oil, but I do want some oil on it. So I'm going to put a drop right here on the pivot pin, maybe a little bit right here, a little bit on that top surface. It looks like this is probably a bearing surface here and a bearing surface here. So I'm just going to take that little bit, take my oily rag that I had earlier, and just rub that oil in. I don't want it dripping with oil, but I do want some oil on it. So that's probably the extent of oil it's going to get. So I'm going to reinsert the bolt back onto the carrier. Push it forward. See, that's what causes your gun to lock. So with it in the rearward position, when the gun goes home in its forwardmost position, it's like this. And then when the gas tube starts back, it moves Let's see if we can see it here. But it probably moves. If you'll watch inside there, this you can see. I'm gonna try to see where you can. But it probably moves that much before it drops. See. So that's how much movement you got. About half the width of that groove right there. So locked, unlocked. And that's what causes your gun to lock and unlock. Like I said, this one does seem to be fairly nicely made. I am going to put a little drop of oil right here because this rides inside the gun. Not a lot, just a drop. I'm going to take my finger, just rub it along the edge of this rail on both sides. Alright, so we got that done. There's our bolt carrier and our bolt. That's all cleaned and ready to go back on. So let's look at our tube here. The tube is fairly clean. I'm just going to wipe it down. Here's the little holder that holds your forearm on. It fits in. There's two little indentations right there that sets in. So they put that in that. Now on this, I could take the trigger group out, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to drop a drop of oil right here on that inside channel. I don't know if you can see that down there, but there's a inside channel that I just put a drop of oil in. That's where the and it'd be almost impossible to put it on this side. So we can put it through from the front. So I'm going to put a drop here and let just enough to let it run down, and a drop there, right there on the front. So, all right, with that done, we're going to take just a little bit of oil. I'm going to put a little bit on the carrier, or on the tube here, and I'm going to take and I'm just going to rub it just ever so light coat of oil on this magazine tube. And that's just because this carrier is going to be riding up and down that tube. So we'll reinstall our spring. We'll set our bolt carrier back onto our gun. Take it to the rear. Now this might be the fun part right here, is trying to get all this lined up. So let me get us where we can see. Alright, I'm holding it right here. And as you can see, there's a little half notch right there. Right there's where we need to be to reinstall our bolt handle. So with the little notch up, am I on focus? So, and there it went back in. So our bolt handle was reinstalled, or our charging handle was reinstalled. So, all right, that's done. We'll reinstall our barrel. And to do that, just simply get it started up here over the front. Push it back to where the barrel is fully seated to the back. We'll take our knurled nut, and remember, the knurling goes down. And that is, make sure your barrel's seated all the way down and tightened. And that's the barrel reinstalled. Now I am going to take my rag here and just give all this a wipe down before I reinstall the the forearm. Part of this will be covered by the forearm. So we have a little bit of oil here on our magazine tube, just enough to allow that to slide. We don't want to over oil. And we have some in our rails here. We put some up here in our rails, so we got some riding on our boat. So to reinstall our forearm, make sure it's pushed up. Slide it down into the receiver there. You see it fits flush. And we'll reinstall our magazine tube end cap. And we're not going to over tighten that. Just snug. Because like I said, the barrel is held by the inner nut anyway. So with that done, we're just going to take a drop or two of oil. I'm going to put a drop or two on this side. This is aluminum and ain't gonna rust, but you know, just helps kind of protect the finish a little bit. Just going to rub that little bit of oil in. Kind of make some of the scratches go away. And I would say that this gun is ready for its first firing. Now, you all watch this video. I don't know that I will get to shoot the gun today. Possibly. But this video will probably be uploaded before I get to shoot the gun. So, and I have to work tonight. So, I don't know that I'll get to it today. But I'm off all weekend. So, I'll have more time. If you see something that I done wrong or somewhere that you would have done something different, let me know. It's been a long time since I owned a semi-automatic shotgun, so you know, I don't know a ton about them because I was always a poor kid and all we had was single shots or pump guns if we were lucky. And I've owned very few semi-automatics in my life. So anyway, guys, I appreciate everybody watching. And like I said, if you see something I missed, I should have oiled or shouldn't have oiled or whatever, to reinstall our stock, we'll depress our button, get the stock started. This is like a great feature on this gun to me. And that thing's tight. When you put it in there, there is no moving it. You'd think there'd be some play or something in it, but there's not. So anyway, the Iver Johnson is cleaned and ready to go for its maiden shots. So we'll get to it as soon as I get an opportunity to do it, and weather permits, we'll shoot this bad boy. Appreciate everybody watching, taking the time. This is probably going to be a long, boring video, so you know, if it doesn't interest you, just don't watch it. I completely understand. Thanks everybody who does watch it, and until the next video, we'll see you later.